today. So, we often do twists in yoga, and there's lots of reasons to do twists. It's, just one of the many movement patterns that you can do in your body. So it's a good thing to do. But one of the things that I want to talk about today in particular with twists is that, when we're in this life that we're in right now, where there's a lot of heaviness coming at us from all directions, we tend to slump. We tend to, stress can make our breathing patterns get very sunken and shallow, and we can shrink our spine, and kind of like fall away a little bit, and then we start to feel like we have to prop ourselves up to the world, and kind of have this almost artificial sense of I can do this. And what I'm hoping with our practice today is that we'll find this internal buoyancy, this capacity to move ourselves from the inside out, to have this length come into our spine and spaciousness come into our breath from an internal place of strength and suppleness. I talked the other day, Monday, about staying supple in your body, flexible, pliable in your body. And I think this can contribute to the way we move into twists, into any posture really, but to twists in particular. So when we're moving today, a couple things to remember. When we age, our discs start to narrow. There's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, just wear and tear, right? Like we've lived in our bodies for however many years you've lived in your body, and the compression on our discs start to be felt. After we're in our 20s, we no longer have a blood supply to our discs, so we rely on movement, the squish and the release, to get hydration and nutrition into our discs. So if we want to plump up our discs, this helps us stay very buoyant in our vertebrae and allows us to have not only shock absorption, which is so essential for keeping everything healthy, but it gives room for our nerves. And when our nerves have clear pathways to move out of our spine and into our body, everything functions a little bit better. And then lastly, besides just the vertebrae having space, what often happens when we twist is that so the reason why that's associated with twists is that the first step to twisting is to create a long spine. If we twist on a shrunken spine, we're just really not allowing ourselves our best movement capacity. So keeping a long spine is the first and foremost thing we need to do before twisting. And then secondly, when we twist, the obliques that twist us, those are the muscles that are along with lots of other things, but they're our prime movers for twisting our torso. And when we do this, our obliques have a relationship with the diaphragm, that they can be antagonistic to the diaphragm, and this can be helpful for stability, for structural stability, when antagonists kind of hug onto each other. But also when we have something resisting our diaphragm, such as the movement of the obliques, it wakes up our diaphragm. The diaphragm, when it has a block, is suddenly like, wait a minute, I can't move there. And so you suddenly wake up in a way in your breathing that you don't wake up without twists. And there's a lot of, I've heard people say over and over, twists wring out the organs. And I think there's a lot of good that comes from twisting in the spine. You bring a lot of blood flow to your center body in general when you're breathing deeply in resistance to the obliques. I wouldn't say that twists necessarily like squeeze out your liver, but definitely moving your diaphragm against resistance will have a lot of pressure on the abdominal organs, which is very good. So that when you come out of a twist and you breathe deeply, suddenly the diaphragm's like, oh, I have all this room. We've all had the experience of being in an enclosed space, and then you walk outside and suddenly you're like, oh, I have all this room. I'm going to stretch open my body. I'm going to take a deep breath. And so sometimes having the feeling of compression gives us the feeling of expansion when we release the compression. So if you've been having challenges with breathing in relation to the fires, as well as in relation to the stress of the burdens of our world right now, then this will be just one little way that you can help your diaphragm move better. So in those regards, let's think about our twisting practice today. So close your eyes and take a moment as you sit to first just ground yourself. Forget everything I just said and just come into the body. Come into this moment. Let your eyes settle. If you've been rushing around or very busy in your mind or in your activity, see if you can slough all that go, let it go, and be here now. Let's take some deep, full breaths. Feel a sense of grounding through your pelvis. And if you're sitting flat on the floor, I would suggest making a change and sitting up on something, whether it be, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it be a blanket or a block or something. Feel your pelvis above your knees just a little bit if you can. And notice what is happening in the pelvis. Are you rocking forward? Are you rocking backward? Do you tend to lean into the left or lean into the right? See if you can kind of balance your pelvis out a little bit so that you're nice and even in how you are sitting. And with this steadiness, ground, yield, take a deep breath and let it travel all the way to the pelvis. Notice the neutral low back curve. And when we are trying to find length in our spine, instead of pulling yourself up on a puppet string like someone's tugging at your crown to lift you up, see if instead you can feel that sensation move from the inside out. So with the space between your vertebrae, your discs, imagine that you have a bike pump, and you're pumping up the tires in your bicycle. And just see what it feels like to use your breath to pump up the discs just a little bit. Not so much where you're tensing, but to have the sense of buoyancy, floatiness of your vertebrae, that you can rest upon squishy, soft discs that are shock absorbing and space producing. Travel from the base of your spine upward, seeing if you can plump up your discs a bit. Feel as though your vertebrae can rest on the pillows of your discs. And find that space. Travel, just visualize and travel upward through your spine. Notice the way your spine curves as you go up. And see if you can feel this plumpness in your vertebrae or in your disc space all the way to the very base of your skull. And imagine your skull being light and floaty, where it's resting on the pillow of your spine. Effortlessly. Notice now if you are more aligned, spacious, upright, long, without having to tug and pull at your ends. Ends being your tail and your crown. We often move from the tail and crown. I orient a lot of my cueing to you from the crown and the tail. See what it feels like to find it from the inside out. Now take a deep breath, open across your collarbones, expand through your rib cage. Notice if there's any place of compression along your spine. Can your breath move 360 all around inside? Can you have the feeling that you can hold yourself upright with a little less effort, with a little more, not having to fake it till you make it? Can you make the heart open in your body from a place of resiliency instead of I just must go on with my day? I must lift my heart into the day. How can you cultivate this from the inside out? Place your palms together and know that if opening your heart and stepping out into the world with an open heart is not easy, perhaps you need to shift gears in your yoga practice and do more restoratives, do more passive heart opening, do more breath work. Remember your toolbox, all the things for replenishing. Bow in and offer an intention for your class. What can a buoyant spine and an expansive breath offer you today? And then let's release the hands and come out of here and onto your mat. So lie down and come into that sense of what it feels like to be horizontal. Let your body pool, spread out. Feel your limbs soften, feel your joints release any tension. Notice the change in your spine. So when you're no longer sitting, when you're lying down now, gravity has a completely different sensation on the vertebrae. So just notice what's here. Is it easier to take a deep breath or no? All right, then let's stretch. Move into some length. Stretch the right side, stretch the left side. Notice the pelvis and the way it can easily move. Warming up some of those little muscles along the low back as you lift one hip and drop the other. And then bring your knees into the chest and rock here a little bit. Just swaying from side to side. Relax the base of your skull. And then let's circle the knees. And then let's circle them the other way. So check in with the sacrum. Notice how you feel. And then right knee into the chest, left leg long on the floor and roll around through your ankles. Wiggle through your toes. Feel the freedom in your feet. Feel the knee compress in. Feel the hip compress. And then change sides. Left knee in, right leg long. Start to open up the feeling in your feet again. Breathing deeply. All right, let's bring our knees into our chest. Let's open our legs out and back in. Just coming back and forth, just feeling what's available here in your hip joints. All right, and then let's pause out there for a moment. Just take your knees out to the sides wherever they want to go. So you can experiment with bringing your knees closer toward your chest or further away. And just find the spot that you want to stretch. Take a deep breath. Notice when your pelvis is open, your chest might have a little bit more room. Breathe deeply. All right, and then bring the knees back in. Starfish open. Lengthen through your sides, reaching into your extremities. Exhale, knees into your chest, chin up. Repeat that twice more. Open your body. Exhale, close your body. Follow the breath. One more time, feeling the expansion. Exhale and draw in. And relax your head down onto the floor. Go ahead and put your feet on the floor. Feet are wide, a little wider than your hips. And we're just going to windshield wiper your knees left and right. So this is a great way to just start to warm up the bottom side of the obliques, kind of where you're attaching to the pelvis. Just start to feel into your side bodies as you windshield wiper your knees over from one side to the other. Feel free to add arms. You can stretch your arm in opposition to your knees, opening up your side bodies a little bit. All right, now this is, I think, a little bit difficult to do on a mat. If you have access to a wood floor, that's great, but you can just stay, whatever is working for you. Most of you have done this with me before. We're going to just curl into a little ball on our side. And then inhale, open your body up. And then curl into a ball onto your other side. Try to be very limp and fluffy, like a rag doll in your body, so that your limbs are following your center line instead of kind of pouncing in and out of the pose. And after you go to both sides a couple of times, spread back out into a starfish, and then knees into your chest. Roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. Okay. So finding the breath, and just see what it feels like to start moving some cat-cows in your body. All right, so after a round of the cat-cow, start to feel just a little bit of compression. So when you round up the spine, draw your navel in and compress against your spine a little bit with your strength, even with your breath, and open up the backside. And then do just the opposite. Arch the back, take a deep breath in, and maybe compress as you exhale into the backside of the vertebrae. One more time, just feeling a little bit more vigorous in your cat-cow than you might ordinarily do. Feel your muscles hug up to the anterior portion of your spine, and then feel your muscles hug up to the posterior feeling in your spine. All right, and then neutral. Find any kind of movement that you want to do. Feel free to swivel around, swirl, sway, move your head. Don't forget you have a head that's connected to your vertebrae. Now, we've all done this before. We're going to put our paintbrush on our tailbone and just do some big circles. So we're going to paint some big circles on the wall behind you and moving your tailbone around. So this is really great to warm up a lot of the muscles in your low back. And then go the other direction. Spin your hips in the other circle. All right, so find what's working for you. What kind of movement feels good? Where is your range of motion? And now we're going to sway from side to side. So look out over your foot, and then look out over your other foot. Let your hips sway from one side to the other. All right, now we're going to put the paintbrush on our belly button, and we're going to circle. And you can come back all the way towards child's pose. Maybe you don't go that far back. We're going to let our belly button be the paintbrush and make circles on the floor. So just big movements in the hips. Let the hips push off to the side, back, forward, and then go the other direction. All right, and then stretch back towards child's pose. Take the hips toward the heels, relax your forehead into the floor, melt the base of the skull. Find your breath. Take a breath in and walk your hands over to the left side of your mat, opening up the right rib cage. Relax your forehead into the floor or near the floor. Make sure the base of the skull is soft. Breathe into the side body. See if you can not only stretch from your finger to your shoulder, but find the space from your ribs to your hip opening as well. How can your breath move up against that stretch? And then walk the hands over to the other side. Feeling a sense of openness through the rib cage, relax the base of the skull. All right, and then come back to center. Let's find our warming twist. Reach the arm up in the air, exhale, and slide that shoulder down, finding your way. So perhaps, depending on your body, what can your head do to relax a little bit more? Can you feel the breath touching into the backside of the vertebrae, the backside of the ribs? And then inhale and reach that arm all the way to the sky. Place the hand down onto the ground. Second side, lifting that arm. Exhale, sliding the arm under. Relax the eyes toward the floor. Feel the base of the skull relax. Find the breath. See if you can touch the anterior portion of your vertebrae with the breath. And then inhale and reach the arm up to the sky and place hands down onto the ground. So evaluate what your spine feels like after just doing a twist. Notice what's here. Find your way into dog pose when you're ready. Lengthen through your spine. Feel free to pedal out your feet, bend a knee, sway a hip, anything that's opening to the body. Feel the shoulders too. So maybe bend the elbows, swoop the elbows under, and lift toward the shoulder joints. Stay rooted through the hands. Find any movement that feels nice. How do you have a little bit more plump buoyancy between your vertebrae here? Can you fill up the discs? Bring your breath. Feel the long spine, so the knees can bend as much as you want. I have my knees almost to my rib cage. See what it feels like to have any kind of bend you want. And then walk forward, come into Uttanasana, fold in half. Find your breath here, bend your knees, spread out the bones of your feet, relax the skull. Inhale for a halfway lift. Femur bones move back, shin bones are forward, spine is growing. Exhale and melt back down. Push off your feet, rise up, bring your arms to the sky. Find your breath, open up the chest, and then exhale and relax. Shake out your hands, just shake, shake, shake your hands. Take some deep breaths, let some energy go. And now do the same, bounce through your feet. And just feel yourself connect. So there's all different ways to get yourself to relax and to yield into the earth, but just keep shaking your hands, keep bouncing your feet, and then go ahead and relax. And just notice what you feel. Take a deep breath in, a long, smooth exhale through nose or mouth, however you like to breathe. Can you feel yourself yielding and grounding? Can you feel your breath expanding? Let's bounce a few more times. So you can jump too. If you're a jumper, if you like to leave the floor, go ahead and leave the floor. Otherwise, just bounce. So when we have this shock absorption, this is a lot of, use it or lose it a little bit. So with our discs, we want to give them something to do. So this is their job to shock absorb all of our joints, really. Feel it in the bones of your feet, your ankles, your knees, your hips, all the way up through your sacrum, through your vertebrae. Can you feel it all the way into your neck and the top of your head or the base of the skull? And just feel that rebound through the body, the shock waves that move through your body from jumping or from bouncing. All right, and then stop. And just notice if you feel a little more alive. Breathe deeply. Are you here? All right, inhale, reach the arms. Exhale, big swan dive forward, fold. Relax your head. Halfway lift, extend the spine. Exhale and release your arms back down. Step your left foot back, right foot comes forward to a lunge. Find your breath. Extend your heart. So the right foot is forward, the left foot is back. Let's start moving here. So we're going to square our hips, straighten the front leg, and then bend your front knee and keep the back leg extended. It's just going back and forth between stretching open the hip flexors of the back leg, stretching open the hamstrings on the front leg. Find your breath. Travel with breathing. Okay. Once you come to the straight leg version, it's okay if you're not all the way straight. Just go where your body goes, but tuck your chin toward your chest and feel that full stretch through the back side of the body. Start to open up the vertebrae in the back side. All right, and then come back to a lunge. Steady your feet. You can always take your front foot out to the side more. Rise up to come to crescent lunge. Bring your arms anywhere that's really helpful in your body. So where it creates that sense of inside out, where the length of the spine and the expansiveness of your breathing comes not from you pulling on your body, but from reaching from the inside, expanding softly from the inside out. So place your arms where that gives you, that sensation is there for you. Drop the shoulders no matter what you're doing. Find your body, stretch into your legs, push your feet into the floor, open yourself up. And then relax your hands and walk your back foot forward, fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Step your other foot back, left foot forward, right foot back. You can take your left foot out to the left more. Just find what's working for you. Bend your front knee. The chest is broad. Start to move. Straighten the front leg a bit. And bend the front leg a bit. Just back and forth, opening up the hip flexors in the back leg, opening up the hamstrings in the front leg. So anytime we come into movement like this, we are bringing a lot of blood supply to everything we need, our fascia, our muscles, our ligaments, our tendons, our bones, our nerves. All right, pause in the straighter leg variation. Tuck the chin toward the chest. What does this side feel like? Do you have differences between the two sides? Deepen your breath. Okay, great. And then find your lunge. Place your hands down onto the ground. Step back to a plank. Start to feel that sense of stability and strength, hugging in through your core. Shoulders are away from the ears. Stabilize. We're going to come down, put your knees on the floor, find your way to the ground. Okay. Lift up, cobra pose, just gentle, don't go huge. Exhale and come back down. See what it feels like to open up the front of the vertebrae. Try not to compress too much in the back body. And then exhale and melt back down. Let's go ahead and lift the hands off the floor. Feel the strength in the muscles along your spine. Stabilize through your core. Lengthen the crown. Find that from the inside out. Breathe deeply. And then exhale and release your hands. Come back up onto all fours. Have a little, swaying around, seeing what feels good in the spine. Curl your toes under and lengthen all the way up to dog pose. Deep breaths. Feel the spaciousness for breath, the spaciousness for your vertebrae. And then let's walk our feet forward, come into Uttanasana, and then rise up as you're ready. Lengthen through your spine, feel the yielding. You can have your feet wider than your hips or in line with your hips, however you like to do this. We do this a lot. And we're just opening up a lot of the muscles that are required for twisting. Just get your body used to going from side to side. Let the heel lift. So let your pelvis go with the twist. Enjoy this. Just free up your thoracic spine. Move things around. The thoracic spine, because our the posterior aspects of our vertebrae, those little pokey out parts, right? They're pretty pokey in our thoracic spine. So our capacity to back bend gets hindered by this, but not our twisting. So let's enjoy all the opening we can find. Open across your chest, open across the breath. And then come back, feel your grounding. Bounce one more time, baby jump. Can you feel the rebound? If you're jumping, bend. See what it feels like to have, just a little bit of shock come up through your body. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Let's step our left foot back. Our right foot's coming forward. Stand in a shorter stance, so we're not coming into a lunge right now. Hands can be on the hips. Hands can be anywhere that feels really good for you. Even behind your back if you want it interlaced. Zip up from your pubic bone to your heart, open your body up, and then exhale and come forward. And it doesn't matter how far you go. You can have your arms anywhere you want. Try not to go sinking too far down. Square hips, root the feet, press into the floor. Feel the front heel root down to give you some strength into your glutes to hold you here. Can you expand the vertebrae from the inside out? Can you feel the buoyancy of your discs? The buoyancy of your ribs floating on the breath. And then come back up, walk the back foot forward, take a deep inhale, exhale down into a chair with your arms back. Inhale, chair pose. Find the breath. If you're comfortable, lift your arms over your head so you can feel the strength in your back support you. Root into the heels, find your breathing over and over. Just keep finding the breath. Okay, stand up straight and tall, change sides. Left foot is forward now. Arms go where arms want to go, tip forward a little bit. And remember this pose, you can go very far down and you can go just a little bit down. Where does your back feel most stable? Root into the feet, inner spiral of the thighs. Feel the glutes, especially in that front leg. The glutes need to be working as they're stretching. Deep breath. Stabilize with your core. Don't go too far where your back is having to hold you up by itself. Use your legs. Come on up. Find your breath. Back foot comes forward again. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Arms back. Chair pose. Inhale, arms up. We're going to twist to each side. Exhale, turning to the right. Arms out. Inhale, coming back. Turning to the left. Use your obliques. Try not to use your shoulders. Come back up. Let's all put our hands on our hips and twist with our obliques. You can also put your hands to your heart, wherever you're comfortable. And one more time, back up. Stand up straight and tall. Exhale and fold. We're going to come all the way down to the ground. So come onto your back for a moment. Don't worry, we'll go back up. Okay. We're going to do two types of oblique core work. So remember, our obliques side bend us and rotate us. So let's start with the side bending. Interlace your hands behind your head. Rest your head down like a pillow is underneath your head. So your hands you're not going to bring your elbows toward each other and crank your head up. We're going to keep our elbows as broad as we can and open up or allow the head to rest in the hands. Lift your chest and let's go left. On your exhale, dip down, left elbow toward left hip. Inhale back to center, exhale over to the other side. So our chest, you can have maybe the bottom tips of your shoulder blades off the floor, the rest of your back on the ground, maybe even less than that. So you decide how you're moving here. Exhale as you dip to the side, keep your elbows broad. Inhale back, exhale, dip to the other side. Notice what your hips want to do. What are your legs trying to do to compensate? Can you try to stabilize through your pelvis and let the core do the work here? If it's helpful, you can always go ahead and relax now. If it's helpful, so if you felt like your pelvis was wonky and just was trying to do all sorts of weird shifting, sometimes putting a block between your knees. So let's just try this. We'll do a shorter round, but put your block between your knees, interlace your hands behind your head, and let's come into this pose again. Going from one side to the other with breath. And just notice if the block is helpful to you to stabilize your pelvis so that you can really feel that your transverse abdominis and your obliques are working in harmony to help you. Elbows are wide. Exhale on the way down toward your hip. Inhale on the way back to neutral. Exhale on the way down. All right, then go ahead and rest. Take a deep breath. Take the block out for a moment. Stretch your legs. Enjoy your soft center body. Breathe into your soft, soft belly. Feel your diaphragm move. All right, for this next one, you can put your block between your knees. You don't have to put a block between your knees. We're going to have our arms straight out to the sides. We're going to bring our knees up toward our chest so the knees are forward of the pelvis. They are not over the hips. They're closer to the chest than that. And we're going to drop our knees toward the floor and back up. So if you're going to come to the ground, try to have it so that your knees come toward your elbow that high, okay? Instead of your knees just kind of no man's land over there. The higher you get your knees toward your arms, the healthier this will be for your back. And if you can't go that far, that's okay. You can go 1 inch off the midline and back again. So the obliques are going to do a lot of work here, regardless of how low you go. So make sure that's where your primary movement is coming from. So we're just going to go from one side back to center and over to the other side, just going left and right. Try to let this pose is called belly turning pose. So let's do some belly turning. Try not to have some weird compensation in your limbs. See if you can really isolate to the strength pattern of the obliques doing the work for you. Are you breathing? Does it feel good? Does it feel good to churn your belly a little bit? This is what I mean by, you're not squeezing out your liver, but you're certainly bringing a lot of blood flow into the center body. How does your spine feel? Can you feel the spaciousness of your vertebrae? The joy of twisting on the ground is gravity helps us keep our space. All right, stop for a moment and bring your knees toward your chest and rock. And just notice, how are you? Did you go too far? Did you stay in your range of motion that was healthy for you? Stretch open your limbs, starfish your body. Take a deep breath. Exhale, knee to your chest, tuck your chin in, roll over onto your side, and come up onto your hands and your knees. Find your way back to dog pose as you're ready. Breathe deeply. Long, long spine. Full inhale, full exhale. Find your breath. And as you're ready, let's bring our foot forward. So we're going to you can lift your right leg up in the air. Okay. And then bring that right foot forward. Come into a long lunge. You're going to decide how deep into this pose you want to be. Lift your back thigh. Feel the balance of your pelvis, widen your sit bones, expand and find the buoyancy between your vertebrae. Maybe your twist is your hand is on the ground and you lift the arm up. Maybe your twist is more upright and you put your elbow on your knee. Maybe your elbow comes to the outer knee. So you get to decide where your twist is ending up. With your back leg, lift the femur bone, widen the sit bones. Feel the expansion of your spine by finding the space between your vertebrae. Let your exhales let your twist come on the exhales. Feel your obliques do the work. Shoulders don't need to do the work, so drop them down. Then come back to center. Come back to dog pose. Bring that foot back. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. Okay, let's switch sides. Bring your other foot forward, so lift the leg up in the air, and we're going to swing that leg forward into a lunge. Extend the spine. Decide how deep in a twist your body's going to go today. Have the back, and you can always put the back knee on the floor too if you need to back away from the posture a little bit to find your breath. The back thigh is lifting, the sit bones are widening. Feel the feet root, hug to the midline. Let the legs do the work of the pose so that the spine can be free to move. Once you have the buoyancy between your vertebrae, use your obliques to twist you. Feel the compression against your breath. Can you feel the opposition of the diaphragm and the obliques? Do you feel like it's hard to take a deep breath? Okay, drop the shoulders. All right, and then release. Bring your hands back down to the floor and step back to a plank. Hold yourself steady. Deep inhale and exhale. All right, let's place our knees onto the ground. Come all the way onto your belly. Find your breath. We're going to lift everything up, arms and legs. So decide where you want your arms to be. Back, out to the sides or forward. And feel all the muscles along your spine. Feel the glutes hug onto the sacrum. Enjoy the symmetry. Let the diaphragm have to do a little push-up on the floor. Another bit of resistance for the diaphragm. And then exhale and relax. Turn your head, sway your feet, windshield wipering one way or the other. Deep breaths here. Come back up onto all fours. Feel your movement. Open things up. And then we're going to bring our right foot forward into a lunge again, extending through the spine. Okay, walk your back foot in, rise up. So the stance is shorter. Square the hips to side. Again, here's a choice. You can come into a twist with your arms out to the sides, your hands at your heart, and stay upright, or perhaps we come into reverse triangle pose where we reach our left arm up Put your hand on blocks or a block, however high you need it to be, and start to find your way into this twist. So you decide, inner spiral the thighs, sit bones wide, rooting the feet. Feel the yielding, both feet. Feel the buoyancy between your vertebrae. Instead of just pulling your crown and pulling your tail, find it from the center spine outward. Start to twist with the breath. Where are the exhales taking you? Pull that hip back, the front hip back, hug it in. Stay rooted in the legs. Put your arm where you want it to be. Drop the shoulders. And then relax and bring the hand back down onto the ground. Back foot comes forward, fold. Bend your knees. You can take your feet as wide as you want. Grab onto the base of your skull, interlace your fingers the weird way, because I'm sure you had them the regular way when we were doing the core work. Tuck your chin toward your chest just a bit. Take a deep breath against your thighs. And then relax your head, halfway lift, extend. Feel the femur bones move back, inner spiral, sit bones wide. All the space you can find. Exhale and melt back down. Let's step our other foot back. So our left foot is forward, our right foot is back, and we're coming up to a stance. Choose the same pose you did on the other side. So either an open twist with your arms out to the side or hands together, or a little bit deeper into revolve triangle pose. So if you're coming into revolve triangle pose, take any support that your body needs. Inner spiral of the thighs, root into the feet, yield and rebound, yield and rebound. Keep the hips compacting inward. Feel the spaciousness between your vertebrae. Pause here before you go into the deep, deep twist. Pause to find your spine. Then pause to find the breath. Notice what the exhales do as they twist you open. Do you need to take your front foot out to the side more? Do you need to change your stance? Maybe your arm comes in the air, maybe it doesn't. Maybe your head turns, maybe it doesn't. The shoulders are moving away from the ears. Find the full exhale. Twist on the full exhale. And let's release. So no matter what pose you are coming out of, bring your hands back, come back to dog pose. Feel the sense of yielding into the earth, the rebound. Enjoy having your chest below your pelvis. Notice what gravity does for your diaphragm. Deep inhale. Let the exhale recoil the diaphragm up to the thoracic cavity. How does a deep breath feel here? All right, let's go ahead and come onto your knees for a moment. Stretch back towards child's pose for a breath. Relax. You can have your knees close or far. You decide where you want to be and just see what it feels like to have the breath traveling along the anterior portion of your vertebrae. All right, come up onto all fours. We're going to come into Vasisthasana. Put your knee on the ground. You can always put a block underneath your hand if you need a little extra height underneath you. Open the breath. Decide whether you want your shin perpendicular or you want your shin parallel. You know, find the place for your shin on the floor that's happy for your hips. Open the chest. Reach the arm in the air, and let's find a big side body stretch here. Open up, root the foot, take a deep breath into your ribs. Okay, and then come back around, come to the other side. Place your other hand on the block if you're using a block. Decide where you want your shin to be on the floor. Open the chest, maybe your arms come broadly at 12 and 6 o'clock. Maybe your arm comes overhead to 12 o'clock. Well, I guess that would be, well, listen to your internal clock, not the clock to the ceiling. Open up your chest, find the angle that works for your body. Deep breaths here. Root into the foot, feel the full side body lengthen. And then let's come back, dog pose. Stretch through your spine, find your breath, even things out. Feel the vertebrae find as much space as they can find. Find the breath traveling wide. Okay, let's walk the feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Relax your head. Halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Rise up, push off your feet. Rise up into a back bend if it feels nice. Anything you want with your arms. And then relax. Pause here for a moment. One more round of our shaking out our hands, bouncing, maybe jumping. Okay, feel that rebound and only go where your body likes to go. So, if you have pain in your joints anywhere from jumping, then stop jumping and come into bouncing. You don't even have to let your heels leave the floor to find some rebound through your spine. And you can lift your heels and drop them. All right, then pause your handshakes, your knee shakes, and just feel your body. Soften the diaphragm, soften the belly, let your belly receive your breath. All right, and then let's find our way onto the floor. We have one more twist to do, and then we'll start finding some different movement. So we're going to stick a blanket underneath your left sit bone, if you have one, and take your feet off to the right. So just one sit bone's up on the blanket. The other sit bone is tucked in, or not tucked in, allowed to drop down in that pocket. So I have the front of my the front of my foot resting in the arch of my other foot. The knees are hip width apart. Lift your hand and let's find our way. You can either hold the inside of your right knee or the outside of your left knee, depending on how deep you want to go in this twist. Now, a tendency is to push the heart forward and squeeze the back body. Let's not do this. This is what I'm trying to get to, is that our open chest can come from a more buoyant, pliable space instead of a push. So drop the sit bone down into that pocket. Try not to compress across the sacroiliac joint. Let the twist be freer than that. Try not to go deep. See where your breath just takes you. Instead of having a destination of I must push into the extreme of this twist, back away and take your body where your breath goes. Okay, so breathe your way into the twist. Obliques get to stretch open a little bit in this posture. All right, and then let's go ahead and relax. Come to the other side. So move the blanket, move your feet. So our feet are going over to the left now. The top of your left foot is resting in the arch of your right. Your knees are hip width apart. Get up on any height that you need to for this to be comfortable. Try to let the left sit bone drop into the pocket. Your left hand can be on the inside of your edge of your left knee or the outside of your right knee. So decide where you want to be. Find your breath. Open across your collarbones. Drop the shoulder blades down. Lose the compression. What are you doing with the back of your body? Are you pushing your shoulder blades forward? Do you feel the center of your thoracic spine pushing forward? Breathe into the anterior portion of the thoracic spine. Let the breath travel broadly in your rib cage. Let the twist go where the breath takes you. Shoulders are soft. Turn your head to wherever is comfortable. You can turn your head all the way, even your eyes, or you can turn your head back toward your knees. Try not to push the back body forward. Expand the back body as much as the front and side body. All right, and then come back to center. Come off of your props. Let's come to lie down on your back. Okay, so after twisting, we always want to do a little bit of a symmetrical back bend. Doesn't have to be big, just to reset the sacrum. So we're going to do bridge pose. You can choose to do this actively or passively. If passively a block is underneath you, you can use a block between your knees if you want. If you're doing it actively, you can use no props. Take a deep breath in and lift yourself up. So be where you're going to be. All right, so root the feet. Big diaphragmatic belly breaths. This is your chance to open your diaphragm. Big open blue sky diaphragm. Just let it go. How's the back of your neck? Can you rest? Can you relax? Don't push the back of your neck into the floor. Root the feet. All right, and then go ahead and rest your body down. Starfish open for a moment. Just let your limbs expand. Let your breath deepen. If you have a strap, grab onto a strap. We're going to have 2 legs in the strap, lifting straight up. Now, this is a little trick. I like to take the strap over my feet and then 1 loop around each foot at the arches. This allows me to stretch the big toe mounds and inner feet a little bit more instead of letting them get compressed. Thigh bones back. Spine is long. Let gravity help you elongate the spine. Relax the shoulders. Breathe deeply here. It's okay to bend your knees a little bit or a lot. You don't have to have this be a super straight-legged pose. Our goal here is to elongate the spine, to find the breath. All right. And then go ahead and release the legs. Roll over onto your side. And we're going to set up for heart bench, low heart bench. If once you get your blocks where you want them to be, so the block under your head is at the middle height across your skull. The block between your rib cage is on the low height, like the length of your spine. Put a blanket over top everything to make it just a little bit softer. And when we come into this pose, heart bench, try to have, you're going to have to, maneuver things around a little bit. So don't assume that the way you like the blocks normally is the way you're going to like the blocks now. Okay, and you can bend your knees, you can straighten your legs, you can take the soles of your feet together in Baddha Konasana, you can crisscross your legs, you can do whatever you want with your legs, you can knock your knees together feet wide. So there's all sorts of choices. Experiment with where you want those blocks to be. You might find that moving higher or lower with the block in your back is better. You might find that you want to turn the block under your back to be across your spine instead of in line with the spine. So experiment. There's so many different ways of getting yourself comfortable in a posture like this. So don't assume, if you're not happy, make a change. Same with the arms. They can go in so many different ways. You can interlace your elbows or interclasp your elbows and stretch your arms overhead. You can have your arms overhead stretched out. You can have your arms out to the side. You can cactus sort of your arms, see what feels good. You can have your arms down at your sides. So anything that's helping you open your body up. Make sure your back is happy. Make a change if it's not. Go ahead, relax your breath. A couple of more breaths before we move. Full diaphragmatic breath. All right, let's go ahead and lie on your side. Bring your knees to your chest. Curl in for a moment. And then see what it feels like to roll all the way over into child's pose. So you can have your knees close or far. You can have your arms up or down. Now let the breath travel along the whole backside of your spine. All right, now as we come into Shavasana, prop yourself. So if you're lucky enough to have a couch or something nearby, I would put your calves up on a chair or a couch. But if you don't have that, put your blocks long ways like this next to each other, and then a blanket on top to make a bolster for underneath your knees. And then as you lie down, have some comfort, some support. So either calves up on the chair or couch. Heck, you can even do leg up the wall if you want. Or just supporting the knees with some extra. If you have a bolster, that's great. As we move into Shavasana, let's just take a moment. Bring your knees to your chest, rock around a little bit. If you want to come into happy baby pose, you can hold your feet and rock a little bit. Just make sure your spine is feeling good. Any little things you need to do. And as you complete your practice and find your way into Shavasana, once you get there, place your hands on your soft belly. Okay, embrace your soft parts. Feel your breath. Melt your shoulders, melt the base of the skull. Or can you drop into the earth a bit more? Scan and notice if you're holding tension anywhere that you can let go. And to deepen your breathing, before you move, just one more time, feel that your spine is spacious, that your breath is able to move deeply. Melt your body. And as you're ready, come rolling over onto your side. Curl into a little ball there for a moment. Breathe into the back. And then decide what kind of movement you want. Do you want to roll back onto your back and stretch? Do you want to just push up? What kind of movement is your body asking you for? And as you find your way, there's no rush. Come to a comfortable seat. And just notice if your posture can be softer, spacious, pliable. Can you feel your belly move? Do you have room in your low back? Do you feel upright without having to push? Place your palms at your heart. And let's offer our practice. Share your energy with someone who needs your love, your care, your support. Open your heart, not in a pushing way, but in an expansive, soft, spacious way. Namaste. Thanks, everyone. I hope you have a beautiful day.